Do you approve of this interview being posted in open web, UT Library Reserves, or in course Canvas to be viewed only by the class students?
Yes, I approve to be, yeah, to be
Okay.
a better level.
What is your name?
Jim Liu.
Okay. What do you do for a living?
I'm a professor at the University of Texas at Houston, studying cancer biology. And
Uh, oh. What are you currently researching?
right now, I'm trying to understand the cancer process, how cancers are developed, and also trying to develop novel therapeutics for treatment of cancer.
Um, so, how did your upbringing influence your decision to choose this profession?
Um, I grew up on a farm in rural China a long time ago. Of course, those days actually, neither my parents are farmers, so they really had no background in research. I went to college and came to America for graduate school, got my PhD in biology, and choose research because I like to find new things, discover new mechanisms, new pathways in biology.
Cool. So, I know that you previously worked at Lexicon. What made you decide to switch to research at UT Health?
I was yes, I worked at Lexicon. Lexicon is a pharmaceutical company, which is aimed at drug discovery. So, trying to discover novel drugs for human disease. Actually, I was head of the group called Pharmaceutical Discovery, and my group does a lot of research. So we are, discovering functions of novel enzymes, receptors, and identify drugs targeting these receptors, enzymes. After that, I decided to pursue independent research. That's why I went to UT Health as a professor there to work on cancer biology and drug discovery for cancer. The reason I went there, I want to pursue a independent research because in industry, the research is more targeted, specific for drug discovery area. In academia, it's you basically pursuing your own independent research. You choose the area you like or something important you think it's going to be, at least you think it's important, and then you make discoveries and do the research under your own direction. So you basically controls everything. Um, so that's why I decided to pursue to go to UT Health and start a academia career there. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what is a typical day at work like?
Now I don't do much research on a typical day. I study, read literature, what's going in the field, and look at the research results from the people in my lab. We design experiments. We look at the data we have and what we discovered the day before, the week before, and trying to see the problem. We generally because we always trying to answer questions or uncover, like new mechanisms of diseases, how cancer develops, how we're gonna discover new drug to treat the cancer. So we do experiments all the time and test our hypothesis. We have ideas or hypothesis, and then we do experiments, test them. After that, we every day we look at the data. When we do an experiment, we actually see results. We look at the results and decide, what this means. Maybe our idea was wrong. We really this is not how it works. So we design new experiments, and sometimes the experiment may take a long time, like several months. Like animal study stuff will take a long time for we know the results. So we also have to think carefully before we do the experiments because it will take several months and a lot of money sometimes to test the idea. Sometimes the experiment's pretty quick. We'll do an experiment, we'll know in a day or a week. Most of the time we do a molecular or cellular based experiments. They can be known we know the data or the results in a few days or maybe a couple of weeks. So every day basically we look at the results we have and from the previous experiments, and we decide what to do next and then design the next experiment. Sometimes, a lot of times actually the experiment not work for technical reason, or sometimes it's for fundamental reasons. If for technical reason, we have to troubleshoot, we look at the data, why this experiment did not work, what went wrong, a lot of, because it's all research, right? Everything is does not always work, something will go wrong, and so we have to troubleshoot those and figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good. So, is there any interesting research you have done in the past?
Yeah, I've done actually several interesting research. My first research was actually on the colonial breast cancer gene, the first breast cancer gene. It was a long time ago. It's 1994, 1993. That time actually we know breast cancer was inheritable. It was genetic. So, and because it was genetic, everybody knew it was a gene, like a genetic element behind this. So a lot of companies, a lot of people, academia people, industry people trying to identify the gene. Basically, what is the molecular, element of breast cancer development? Why some people develop breast cancer, some people don't. Most people don't. So the first actually research we did I was part of the big group, was to identify the gene involved in breast cancer development. And so we actually, this was when I was in my first job after my PhD, my postdoc training. So when the company called Myriad Genetics, and the company actually was specifically established to clone the first breast cancer gene. So I was part of that group and worked together with a lot of people, and we were the first to discover the breast cancer gene, the first gene that is responsible for breast cancer development. After that, I went to Merck, and we discovered a new mechanism or a new pathway that controls feeding obesity. So that was a discovery we made in how the body regulates food intake. Then at Lexicon, my group actually was involved in drug discovery. So we actually create a new drug, drug for the treatment of diarrhea associated with a type of cancer called carcinoid syndrome, carcinoid disease. Carcinoid disease is a tumor of the small intestine, and this tumor produces a bioactive substance called serotonin, a lot of them. So the serotonin causes diarrhea in humans. So these patients, because I make a lot of serotonin, so they have very severe, horrendous diarrhea, and it really affects the lifestyle, the quality of life. So we actually came up with a drug, a small molecule inhibitor that specifically block or inhibit the synthesis of serotonin. So that actually took a lot of people, many years of work. And I started the project when I was Lexicon, so when I left there, actually the project was successful. We had a company went to a clinical trial, and the drug actually was approved the company was approved as a drug about 2 years ago now, almost 2 years ago. So it's actually used in patients, people who actually taking the drug now, and it's the first drug actually Lexicon approved, and so that's one thing. And recently I'm work on cancer, colon cancer, or intestinal, more colorectal cancer, and we discovered a new mechanism how the stem cells in the colon that maintains the colon integrity, but also this stem cells also, when they're mutated, they actually form cancer. So we found a new mechanism how these stem cells survive and how it actually is involved, how it contributes to cancer development. So those are the kind of the research discoveries I made. Yeah.
All right. So what else are you interested in researching in the future?
Right now, most of my research is on drug discovery. So we're always trying to find new potential therapeutics for cancer, because cancer is still, most cancer actually, some of them, especially the late stage cancer, like metastatic cancer, so a lot of them still are not well treated. Basically, um, a lot of patients still die, like lung cancer, colon cancer, and liver cancer. So finding new drugs for cancer, especially late stage, severe, the metastatic cancer is still major challenge. So right now my research is mostly on trying to identify pathways, the novel targets, or strategies, how can we develop new therapeutic agents that can treat cancer, especially metastatic cancer. So that's my major research. The other one is actually on the GI, the gastrointestinal system. Right now, we're trying to understand the relationship between inflammation in the cancer and the maintenance of the intestine or the gut, because the gut is full of bacteria, so there is always some inflammation going on, and the inflammation on one hand, it's just part of life, but sometimes when the intestine or the gut has some kind of damage or injury, and the bacteria can get into the intestine and then cause diseases, severe injury. That's why people have a colitis, inflammatory bowel disease. So that's actually very severe type of inflammatory disease, and those people actually have cancer. A lot of them eventually develop cancer. So now I'm trying to understand the relationship between inflammation in the gut, also the integrity of the intestine or the integrity of the gut, and eventually cancer development. So that's why, yeah.
All right, that's good. So, can you, where did you receive your undergraduate education?
I went to college in China. It's called Wuhan University. It's central China, in the city of Wuhan. It's a pretty big. It's one of the the oldest universities in China.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where did you receive your graduate education, and what did you study?
So I went to Yale University for my PhD program. The time I studied, the department I went to actually is called biochemistry and molecular biology, and so the department is most focused on molecular and biochemical, molecular biology and biochemistry. And I was in that department. My research, my PhD thesis actually was on virology, molecular virology. I studied this virus called Epstein-Barr virus. That's my PhD work is about. It's molecular virology.
Okay, that's cool. And was your undergraduate education helpful in what you do now? If yes, how so?
Yeah, my undergraduate actually, the undergraduate major was virology. So actually, I was directly related to what I did in PhD program. So the major, the big major is in biology, of course. So I had a lot of biology courses and microbiology, biochemistry, and organic chemistry, all those fundamental biochemistry courses. Because in China, those days is not liberal arts. So everybody is very focused. It's like the undergraduate education actually is very focused. So for example, we didn't have literature or any kind of humanity courses. Everything specialized. It's basically we only had biology, chemistry, mathematics, all those anything related to biology. Yeah.
Alright, I understand. So is there anything you would have done differently education-wise in your journey to your profession?
It's different. I mean, undergraduate, of course, those days we didn't have much choice, and we just basically was selected, well, accepted by college, and then went there. Graduate degree, I really don't know what I would have done differently. I think I learned a lot of things in graduate school and undergraduate, and it's been very helpful for what I do now.
So, what made you interested in this type of work, like from your experiences?
I think somehow, even I just remember when I was a kid, when I was young, I was curious about things, curiosity, and kind of always want to know how things work in the world. So that's kind of gets pushed me or drove me to research. Always some curiosity, I think, is a major reason. You have to have curiosity to do research. So that's why I choose what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Oh, what do you believe is your most accomplished discovery?
I think the one with the discovery of the new drug for diarrhea, for patients or carcinoid patients who have diarrhea. I believe this is obviously it's useful. It actually is helping patients who have the disease. This is it's not discovery all by myself. It's an effort of a group of people, but I'm the one who started the project and championed the early stage of the project, all the way from the very first experiments until we delivered the compound or the drug to the clinic. I mean, but the medical doctors who develop the drug in the clinic, who run the clinical trials, but we are the ones who we discover the drug and then gave to the clinicians to test it in patients. So that's why I believe this is the most important thing I did so far, because it really, when all the way from bench, from laboratory to actually patients who are benefiting from this.
So are there any notable mentors that you've had that have had a really big impact on you in your career?
I feel always my PhD advisor. I think he had the most impact on me in terms of research. His dedication to research, his curiosity, and his rigor. When he look at experimental data, the design of experiments, when he write papers, publications, how rigorous, how careful he is about how to formulate the idea, how to formulate, and then how to conduct experiments, and how to test the hypothesis. Those have the most direct impact on my research later.
So do you have any advice for current undergraduate students who are trying to pursue your area of study?
Yeah, I think because my career is research is really about research. For undergraduate, first you really have to learn the science, learn the hard science. I mean, you really have to not just the superficial stuff. You really have to think and understand the fundamental, the true fundamentals of the courses you take, the knowledge or the biology. If we want to do research, you really have to have passion. This is not you sometimes don't make a lot of money. I mean, it's to be honest, but you have to have the curiosity and the passion to discover new things. This is not always about money, but it's for people who are truly passionate about making new discoveries and seeking the truth about nature.